Everybody, welcome back to the How to Podcast series, where we talk podcasting with amazing people from around the world. Remi is here with us today. Podground.io is the place you need to go. We'll have a link for you in the show notes. I've been checking out the great community and great tools that Remi's been pulling together for Podground. Got to check it out. Also, host of a podcast, and it's good for introverts like me, the Driven Introvert podcast. It's amazing. Keeps me company at work. So I get to talk to somebody that I admire very much. And she's got time to be on the show, which is amazing. We're going to be talking about all things podcasting. And again, you get to meet somebody that if you haven't met her, you're going to fall in love with her. Remi, welcome to the How to Podcast series as my guest co-host. So glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. This is awesome. I'm so glad to be here.
This is great. Remi, where are you in this big world of ours?
I am in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I've never been to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm up here in Canada. I'm near Niagara Falls.
I know.
What is something amazing about where you live? You're just like, oh, it's my favorite thing ever. What is it?
Gosh, I'm a nerd and I have a toddler. Oh. So I love to read and I love to learn. So I love to take my little one to like museums and children's museums and things like that. And we have a couple of like awesome libraries, presidential libraries and stuff like that. So we love to do those things and just take a weekend and just, drive around and take him and just see how he wonders at things that he's learning. So I love that. I love the stage of life. Yes.
Nice. I was actually listening to an audiobook by Austin Kleon. It's a new book. It just came out. And he was talking about taking his boys to museums. But watching how his young boys, navigate a museum. They're not reading the little card that tells you what the thing is that you're looking at.
Yeah.
They don't read that. He said, my one son sat outside and watched the cars go by. And that's all they wanted to see. And that's what was exciting for them. Oh, they didn't even go in the museum.
Oh, my gosh.
They just watched the cars go by. They're like, this is the coolest thing ever. Right. But just as an adult watching your kids, you can learn so much because they see the world with no expectation or filter about what we're supposed to be focused on right now. Like, we're supposed to be looking at the thing here. Look at the pot. Look at the pot. Look at the pot. And they're in a totally different space.
I know.
Right?
100%.
And as adults, I think we need to tap into that more.
We do. There's that childlike wonder of just discovering things instead of following like a roadmap. Because I feel it too. Sometimes we walk into a museum and I'm like, okay, we got to start at the beginning. And then we, set step by step linear. And it's like, no, he just wants to run off here, run off there. I'm like, okay, I'll just do what you want to do and see where it takes us. I think it's great to see life that way. Yeah. It's
a good life lesson, I think, podcasting or outside of podcasting. I think there's a lot of stuff that we can apply to what we do. Tell us about your show, Remi. I love it. It's a really good show, the Driven Introvert podcast. How did this show begin for you?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. I did have a show before this one. I started it sometime in 2016, and it was called Follow Your Feet. I love to talk about what it means to live a life on purpose, where we're not just drifting and taking whatever comes, but we're being intentional about what we're chasing, what we want, and how we want our lives to be. So that was what that podcast was about. But it's all kind of part of my podcasting journey, story, all of that. I didn't know what I was doing with that podcast. So I ended up shutting it down. But I told myself, I want to come back to podcasting and I want to figure it out because I enjoy the medium. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy creating, but I didn't know what I was doing. So when I came back to it, it's funny how I came back to it was I was trying to build a community for introverts, right? And we had started, did the website. We started doing events and workshops and reflection sessions, where we would have like prompts and we would journal and walk through things and think through things. And I wanted to start to do interviews with people. And I thought this should be a podcast, right? I should just use this avenue to come back to podcasting. And that's how it started. But I realized that even though I started wanting to interview people, I realized that my journey and the things that I had walked through and sort of navigated as an introvert, I wanted to share that, but also get other people's perspective also. And so when I started the podcast, I was doing like one interview and one solo episode. And after a while, I thought I want to really lean into my voice. I want to figure out what makes me me. I want to figure out what are the things that I want to talk about that will resonate with people, through my story. And so I decided to do more solo episodes. But essentially, the podcast is really about um, the because it's not the introvert's drive, right? It is the driven introvert. I want to talk about introversion, but not from a personality deep dive perspective, more like how to navigate living a purposeful life, having dreams, having goals, and figuring out how to do those things as an introvert, especially an introvert that might have certain real or perceived limitations. I grew up as a very introverted kid, and I was not only an introvert, I was also very shy, painfully shy, and I had a lot of social anxiety. So when you mix all these three things together, it is not a good combination for being a dream chaser, for being somebody who really wants to do something significant, because you are held down by fear. I can't do it. I'm not enough. Nobody wants to hear from me. I don't have anything to say. How am I going to stand in front of people and talk? Like, all of it was just like a whole thing for me. But slowly but surely, I figured out my way out of that. And to be honest with you, a lot of it has to do with faith for me, and just learning from every experience and knowing that the life that I want for myself is bigger than any obstacles that I might be experiencing right now. So I have to figure out a way to climb out of these holes that I've dug myself into and move forward. So that's essentially what the podcast is about. And on a more, micro level, I talk about different things that one might encounter on your road to sort of living against the grain when it comes to just purpose. Because if you look at it, a lot of us, if we're not careful, we're not going to do much with our lives. Not because we don't want to, but because it takes a lot. You are doing a podcast, a daily podcast day. I know what it takes to get up every day and say, I'm going to do this thing because I want to do it, because I know that it's just part of my being. I have to get it out. But there's so many people out there who have the dreams and ideas to do things, but never quite figure out, overcoming the inertia to actually do them, right? And that's really what the podcast is about, sharing ideas about, chasing dreams and making decisions. Is also a big part of it. To do anything, you have to make a decision to do it. And not doing it is also a decision that you've made, right? Whether you think about it that way or not. So that's essentially what the podcast is about. And it's really me just nerding out on whatever really I want to share. But also it's been helpful to see what my audience needs, what they are struggling with, the things that they are working through. And that helps me also figure out what to talk about on the show.
How's the show helping you personally? What are some of the benefits to doing a podcast as an introvert and then talking about introversion on your podcast? Like, what's happening to you in your own personal life because of the show?
Gosh, I feel like it's a lot of things, but the ones that are biggest for me is when it comes to communication and being able to express my thoughts in ways that are clear, is compelling, and, it reaches someone else in a very thoughtful manner. Like I said, I used to be very socially anxious and shy and all of that. And talking or just expressing myself was really hard for me. And it's not because I didn't have words. I had words, right? And I'm a writer. I've always been a writer, and I know that I am good with words. But when it comes to the in the moment communication, when it comes to speaking, it was always so hard for me, because I'm like, I cannot quite find the right words at the right time to pass across what I'm trying to say. And it can be frustrating. Like, it's like you have something shut up in you and you can't let it out. So doing the podcast for me has been very therapeutic, because I used to joke with a friend of mine that some people, if we think about communication from your brain to your tongue, whatever, as a highway, for some people, it's like a straight highway. You think about it, it comes to your mind and you can say it. It just mine. I used to feel like there's so many roadblocks that I have to get across to go from my brain to actually speaking it out loud. And I feel like right now, it's no longer like that. I think about the words, I can figure out a way to say it in a way that makes sense. And I really credit podcasting with that, because I'm having to, and I sometimes I script on my show, sometimes I don't. And I give myself the flexibility to do both, because I used to start by just scripting because I was afraid I could not really sustain that conversation and get it out in a way that isn't clear. But I realized one day I just challenged myself that I'm going to do a pep talk kind of episode. And I'm just going to talk. And I finished it and I'm like, I did that. Like, I should do it again, you know? And I realized that I actually love doing that. And the more you do it, the better you get. So I think that's one thing podcasting does for anyone. If you stick with it long enough, it just improves your communication skills in a way that only speaking continuously, does for how you're able to express yourself. That's one big thing it does for me. 100%.
I have another podcast called Living the Next Chapter. It's an author podcast, so I'd love to have you come join me there as well. Yeah. It's a totally different show. But one of my author guests said they heard a thought from a pretty popular author, Ray Bradbury, about the idea that you should write every week. You should write something, like a little short story or something, but write 52 in a row. Every week, 52 weeks, write 52 stories in a row. He said the chances of you writing 52 terrible stories in a row are pretty slim. Like 100%. One of them are probably going to be okay, but you're not going to get to that one that's really okay unless you write the other 51. Yeah. So I agree with that. Do that and be in that space of being creative and writing and doing the thing as podcasters, being on the mic, creating content, interviewing people, sharing your thoughts on a microphone as a solo podcaster. All of those things, they compound over time and build upon each other. Absolutely. Right? Confidence comes. You start getting feedback. People are like, oh, Remi, I love your show. You keep me company at work. Like, when I listen to your show, Remi, I don't feel like the show is done by somebody who's an introvert as the host of the show. Okay, just so you know. It doesn't feel like that to me because I'm an introvert. I know what it feels like. So as I'm listening to you, I hear confidence. I hear you. There's a lightness to your voice. I hear that you're engaging. You keep my attention. Like I feel like you're right there with me, and that's the best feeling as a listener. Yeah. When you can connect with a podcaster that way. So I'm hearing the results of the work you put into your show for you personally as the host. Yeah. I can hear it in your voice.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. It's fun.
So podcasting has so many upsides for us as hosts, right? Besides that side of it for you, what other things has podcasting equipped you or taught you about yourself that you're like, I didn't know I could do this. Now I can.
Yeah, I think part of it is also, and the way that I look at it is in terms of like, we talk a lot about personal branding these days online and really being an expert or an authority, being known for something, right? And I think it's one of the other things. So I think it was 2025 last year, I did a couple of speaking engagements. And one of them, I was able to get that opportunity because of podcasting. And I spoke at a university entrepreneurship center about podcasting. And that would not have happened if I didn't have this, the podcasting as a thing. And I'm leaning more into speaking now because of podcasting. It's given me not only the confidence and the drive to know that I can do it, but also because I'm, creating all of these resources and communities inside of the podcasting space. It's given me the opportunity to move in that direction as a speaker, I'm thankful for the opportunity. This August, I will be speaking at the Empowered Podcasting Conference in North Carolina.
Nice.
All of that,
Nice.
it comes because of podcasting. It gives you opportunities that you never would have had, without it. I talk about it today. There are levels to what we experience as new podcasters. So if you're like a celebrity or something and you start a podcast, you have a built-in audience, right? Or maybe if you're not a celebrity, but you, depending on what you've done before podcasting, if you bring an audience along with you into podcasting, it's maybe it's not easier, but I don't know, maybe it's simpler to be able to actually get it to kind of work, because your audience already knows you for something, and it will follow you anywhere. Now I have a podcast. Oh yeah, they want to listen to it. It's another way to connect with you. But if you are coming into podcasting as somebody green, no audience, no prior communities, that are looking to you for something, it's a lot of work. You have to do the work to be able to build that audience. And I think being able to lean into speaking, right, is another way to do that. Another way to build your audience, even for your podcast. It's like they just work together, right? So, and I tell people all the time, if you have a podcast, start to think about ways that you can leverage your niche for speaking opportunities, and even for writing. Writing it and maybe writing a book or whatever. All of those things help because it builds like an ecosystem for you, and you're not just in a silo trying to get people to find your show without any avenues to actually put yourself out there. So that's one thing it's done for me, is being able to figure out how to show up even in offline spaces, and I've definitely leveraged podcasting for that.
I love hearing from my audience. And anytime that somebody actually reaches out and leaves a comment, or I use a thing called SpeakPipe on my show, right? So you can leave a voice message. I get voice messages from around the world, and it's the coolest email to ever get in your inbox. It's like, oh, you got a voice message from Remi. It's like, what? So you like press play. You're like, oh my gosh, right? You have this moment, right? What kind of things have you heard from your audience in the past that just kind of solidified for you that you're on the right path? Like feedback, comments, anything come to you from your listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So two kinds. I get comments from people who are introverts, who share, especially somehow when it's career related. And I talk a lot about career and that kind of stuff on the podcast, because I think for a lot of people, the area of your life, apart from relationships, right, the area of your life that will give you the most sleepless nights will be your career, because you're trying to make life work, and to make life work you need money, and to get money you need a job or a career or something that you're doing that makes you happy, that doesn't kind of make you want to, I don't know, pull your hair out or something. So I hear from a lot of people who talk about that, like, I am just in a place where either I'm trying to figure out a career pivot, and I just don't know how to go after it. And because they're introverts, they might, not all introverts are this, but they might not be very, like, I don't want to use the word driven. There are different kinds of ways to look at drive. There are people who are driven and they don't need anyone else to say, maybe you can do this. They're gone. They're doing it. And you're just looking at them like, oh my God. But some people need a little bit of a jolt, so to speak. And to hear from people to say, this really helped me to think in this direction and how I can figure out what to do with my career. Somebody says, I'm 51, I'm an introvert. Now I'm trying to figure out a different career, and it's so hard to find myself in a new space and navigating all of that with, all, the feelings that come with it. And that's always cool to hear that. And sometimes it feels, because I'm hearing from somebody who is struggling with something, and my heart goes out to them like, oh my gosh, like, I get it, right? So it may not always be the happiest email, you see what I mean? Because they are struggling with something, but it is confirmation that this is helpful and it's helping them think in a particular direction. The one that tickles me the most is when people say, well, I'm not an introvert, but I'm like, talk to me, tell me about it, and I get emails from mostly women who are like, I'm not an introvert, I'm very extroverted, but this particular episode or this, thoughts that you provided helped me think about this, and I'm, figuring this out right now. And it's not only introverts that are struggling with career or how to make sense of it, it's anybody can, so hearing from them that, yeah, I may not be an introvert, but I listen to your podcast because it really helps me. It's always so wonderful.
Interesting, because when we start podcasting, we get advice from people helping us with their show that, you have to kind of target your audience, know who you're speaking to, narrow down your niche to a certain area. But that doesn't exclude people from coming and hearing your show and being part of your community, right? So another one of my shows is Dad Space. It's a podcast for dads. 68% of my audience are female.
Isn't that amazing?
For a podcast for dads.
I know.
Right? So there's nobody at the door saying, you can't listen to this. You can't come in, right? And the fact that they find value, and what I hear from the women that listen to my show is, I'm divorced. I'm a single mom. I'm trying to navigate parenting from both perspectives. And all I know is the mom side. And I want to know more about the father's.
Isn't that interesting?
I want to hear what dads are talking.
Yeah.
Right? I want to sneak in and kind of be here and listen. What do you guys talk about? So I love that even though we narrow down our audience, and I'm still going to focus on dads specifically, not just men in general, but dads. And that's my target. Anyone can listen and they still get value from it. So I think people get a little nervous when they narrow their audience. They're thinking, oh, but Remi, I want to reach everyone. Well, if you want to reach people really well, then you need to target an audience that you feel most compelled to speak 100%. To. And then anyone's welcome, but this is who I speak to. I'll serve everyone, but I really want to reach this person. That's my goal.
Yeah, right? I love it. I'm curious, for the dad podcast, what do you hear from the dads, and how do they, what feedback do they give you in terms of the community you're building, the content you're sharing, how it's resonating? What do you hear from them?
One thing I hear from the dads is that there's a lot of amazing podcasts for women, for moms, created by moms, like way more than there are for men.
Absolutely.
Men talk about sports. We talk about politics. We talk about work. And that's it.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. That's about as deep as we go. Right. I have a doctor who just came on, and he came on to talk about men who are dealing with postpartum as men. And as I listen to this guy, this amazing doctor come on and talk, I have 3 adult children out of the house now. I'm an empty nester, and I have 2 grandchildren. So I'm a grandfather. Right? So I'm at a different stage altogether. But when I listen to him talk about men struggling with postpartum, he says it's not just about the moms. Men also struggle. And when I listen to him outline all of the things in his book, I was thinking, going back in my mind 20, 25 to 29 years ago, going, where was this book for me? Because that's some of the things I was feeling.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't have the words back then, and there was no podcast. And this author hadn't written this book and all these resources. And I want my show to be that for dads.
I love that.
Right? And again, men struggle a lot with their mental health. Unfortunately, we lose a lot of men in this world. And that's another thing. But I had one dad reach out to me from New Zealand. And every November, it's Movember, where we raise awareness for men's mental health and physical health. We grow a mustache and all that stuff. It's a thing, right? But I do a daily episode in November to support Movember. So it's Dad Space, it's men's mental health, physical health, and a daily episode in November. So there's 30 episodes in a row for Dad Space on top of everything else. Right. So, but I had a dad reach out to me from New Zealand, father of 4, listens to the show. And he said, Dave, I've been putting off talking to a professional for years. I can handle it. And listening to your episodes over the last 30 days, he said, I finally came to the realization that I can't do this by myself. So I've already made my first appointment.
That's great.
Remi, I would do my show. I would do all of my shows for one message.
I know.
Right. For one person to say that. Right. To know that some guy in Canada could turn on a microphone, put a podcast out into the world and reach somebody in New Zealand and not only help him, but help his family and his kids to have a better dad, to have a partner who's a better partner to his wife, to have him still be here on this planet. Right? Like, what else? Like, for me, yeah, you can make money with your show. You can be a top 10 podcast. You can do all these things. Wonderful. But to have one person say that my life is different because 100%. Of the show on a podcast.
That's the impact we're looking for. 100%.
Right.
I love that.
Right. Yeah. I just think it's something totally different. The other thing I love about what you do on top of your podcast is about building community in podcasting. I find we have great conferences. You mentioned the Empowered Podcast Conference coming up, which is great. Mark has been on the podcast, the creator of that conference. He's been here.
Yeah.
An amazing guy, really, really great guy. We have these conferences, but they're not every day. They're not all the time. Of course. And sometimes it's quite expensive to fly across the country, hotels, food, take time off work, take time away from your loved ones to go to these events. So we can't do them every day. So I love that you're building Podground. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. I'm doing something on Meetup where I do a Meetup twice a week on the Meetup platform. And every Tuesday and Saturday, I pull podcasters from all over the world. And we just talk podcasting and support each other like you're doing. Yeah. And I love what you're doing. So I love building community in podcasting. So many podcasters I meet, it seems like they're struggling in silence. Maybe not as motivated when they don't see the results they anticipated. 100%. They leave podcasting. Yeah. And it's a very solitary thing, especially if you're not an interview podcast, just a solo podcast. There's no one here. Yeah. There's no one to keep you motivated, celebrate with. And then when you talk to your loved ones and you bring up podcasting and they do the,
I know.
this thing again, right? You're like, but I love this. And they're like, I don't get it. I don't understand why you love this so much. To be in a room, even virtually, with people that love what you do, and you don't have to explain yourself to these people, 100%. Is a great thing. So I love conferences. I love in-person things. I think they're very valuable. But we all come home from them. And then what? Yeah. And that's what I love about Podground. So I'm setting you up here to talk more about Podground. Sure. Tell me, like, where did the idea for it come from? And can you kind of give people some idea of where you're kind of going with this? Because I'm an early adopter into Podground. And oh my gosh, I'm just like, I'm all in. I'm all in. So let's go.
Thank you so much. You know how I talked about when I started my first podcast in 2016? I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anyone. I knew only two podcasts at the time that I listened to. And it was enough for me to think, oh my God, I love this medium. This is amazing. I want to do this. But I didn't have anyone in my immediate circle who was podcasting, obviously. And there weren't as many resources as there are right now. I didn't know anyone. I was just by myself. And I remember I would go to the local library because I didn't have a mic. I went to the library to use the mic and the resources there. And I'll create my podcast and then I'll come home and try to do all the social media things. But nobody was really doing video at the time, for podcasts, like recording video and all of that. So I didn't know what I was doing. So when I stopped doing that podcast, when I was coming back to it, I'm like, okay, I know I need some sort of community. I need people. I need to meet people who are also doing this thing so I can ask questions. I can figure it out, So I remember, I don't remember if I had gone on Facebook at the time. I think it was the same time that I was going on Facebook and trying to figure out like podcasting groups and all of that. And I remember it feeling very overwhelming, the podcasting and Facebook groups, and not as helpful. I just needed, more like intimate connections. So one of the podcasts that I listened to for a long time, she was doing like a mastermind. So I joined that and it was amazing. It was expensive, but it was amazing because there were so many other people there who were podcasting, and we'll have this co-working sessions and we'll have sessions where she will share. And she's like a top whatever podcast, top 0 point something, so she had a lot of experience and resources. And that was great. And we had like a chat room and we would talk and ask questions, like simple questions. People would ask like, where do I get music for my podcast? Things that would just take you down a rabbit hole trying to search and figure things out. And you just ask and somebody says, oh, you use this and use that. And you're like, this is amazing. It just helps. It just makes you feel like, yeah, I'm part of something and I can keep going. And that experience was great, but it ended because it was like a program, like a 3 months, 6 months, I think 6 months kind of thing. And that ended. And I mean, it was helpful for me, but I thought this is great. And I remember, I can't remember if it was on Facebook, on one of the Facebook groups at that time, and something happened. I don't know. The idea just came to me. I'm like, there should be a place that is easy to navigate, that people can easily find each other, that is spam free, that isn't full of just randomness, where there's too much noise to figure out, what makes sense, amidst all of this. And that actually helps you get resources to people. People share resources. And you know how Facebook, I don't know if you do how Facebook groups are. Even if you own a Facebook group, you cannot like send resources to everyone in there. They're not going to see your post all the time. And I essentially started Podground as a Facebook group. So I know I tried everything in there, but it was kind of limited, as to what I thought we could do. So that's really where the idea came from. And now we have Podground and there are challenges to that. And we're working through it. But I wanted to create a space where it was easy for somebody who was just coming into podcasting for the first time to hit the ground running, to not feel like I have no idea what's going on, where you can easily find support. You can find, other podcast hosts who are ready to support you, who are ready to check out your show, be on your show, encourage you, share ideas, things like that, where it was easy to do all of that. So that's why we have the platform Podground. And then we also have all the events and things that we do around it, including the grant, right? And the whole idea for Podground is just, if I could capture it in one single sentence, would be to reduce pod fade as much as possible. Give people the chance or the opportunity to learn what it takes so that they can keep going. So that statistic where, over 50% of people drop out after like 10 episodes or whatever, hopefully is no longer a thing. And if you stop podcasting, it's because you decided, I got it all out of me. It was great while it lasted. I'm done. That's fine, right? But to fall off because I have no idea, or you probably have expectations that were not quite realistic. You're talking about impact now. A lot of people lead with the money they can make from podcasting. They love it. They have something to say, but they're very focused on the money. And if I could tell you anything, it's like, forget about the money, bro. Like, nah, don't do that. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. Like, do it because you love to do it. And if you want to figure out how to make money from it, you can, but do it because you love it. You cannot not do it, just like you. I'm looking at you in that space and I'm like, Dave is meant for podcasting, right? Because you because you love it, because it's making sense, you're making impact, and it's energizing for you. So that's essentially the goal for Podground in a nutshell.
Okay. All right. And you host events as well, which I've attended one already. I've signed up for a bunch more.
Yeah.
What's kind of the intent with the events? Is it only through Podground that people can come to the events? How does those work?
No. So when I actually started on Facebook, I remember for a whole year, I did what we called listening parties. The idea was you would come and would use Zoom like this, and you would come and meet someone new that you never met before. So I would meet Dave, and Dave and I would be in a Zoom room, and we will share our podcasts, and you will listen to my show. I will listen to your show and offer feedback, leave you a review, just if we could collaborate, we would. Just a way to meet people like every week, meet someone new. And, you get somebody to listen to your podcast, you get some feedback on your podcast, and that's one thing that I feel like a lot of podcasters struggle with, because if we're to be very candid, it is quite a challenge getting constant feedback from your audience on a podcast. That's the truth of it, right? So, which is why when we're talking about these emails that we've gotten, we treasure it so much to have somebody actually type out an email and say, hey, I love your podcast. This is what it did for me, because it doesn't happen all the time, all day long. No. It doesn't. So a lot of people can feel like, I'm not even getting any feedback. Do people like it? Don't they like it? What's going on? So being able to get in a room with somebody who's also a podcaster, who's not your mother, that loves everything you do and say, oh, it's awesome, baby, that can really give you something, it's cool. So we did that for a year, and it was grueling, but we did it for a year. And so when we did set up pod ground and everything, we started to do I think I thought about it in a way that there's something, and I don't know if you know Ariel Nisenblatt, and she has she has this new events lab she created, and she talked about event fatigue. People can get event fatigue. Like, I am tired of I can do an event every week, right? So I thought, I mean, I don't want people to feel like they have to do an event every week, even every month, right? Because sometimes maybe you're just in a very busy season at work. Hopefully you're able to keep going with your podcast, but you're not able to do all the podcasty things around it.
Yes.
So I thought, why not do it in a way where the events are genre specific, right? So bring together all the parenting, kids, family parenting, that's like a hub right there, and bring them together to meet each other. And even in that niche, it's so different. I mean, you were there the last time. There are different, Isaac at Movies at Grandma's House, it does fall under, kind of like parenting and family stuff, and then somebody else talking about career for young people, right? Yeah. Because as a parent, you want to help them figure out, career and all of that. It's focused on kids. So it's like still kind of different enough to be very diverse, so that when you come into a room like that, you meet all sorts of people. And then you, another thing that I like to do in these meetups is have someone there, because I don't claim to be a podcast guru. Have someone in there who is maybe like a coach or somebody who works with podcasters, who has experience with that and can answer some questions that might be thorny for people, so people can share their challenges, what they're working through with their podcast, if they have any specific asks that might help them move forward, all of that. And then they share, we connect. And also we still do the listening part when we are able to, where we connect people in rooms, and then you can just share your show and things like that. And this last time, somebody asked, can we get like a review thing? Like, want more reviews? And I'm like, this is amazing, because you get thoughtful reviews from fellow podcasters, right? Because they know what to look for, they know, and they can give you ideas. So that's how we kind of do the events. However, you don't have to be a part of Podground to come to the events. As a matter of fact, I reach out to people proactively, right? Because that's one thing. If anyone's listening and you have a thing on the internet and you do events or things that brings people together, just know that the fact that you put out a graphic and a link and you put it on your social media doesn't mean people are going to show up, right? You have to really be interested in people. And that's where it's emotional work, right? Because you cannot be building community and not care about people in the community. It's not possible. Like, you have to reach out to people. You have to really care, not just for them to come and feel, the space, but really care about what they're doing and figure out how to support them, right? So we do a lot of reaching out, to people. You don't have to be in the Podground community for you to find it. If you find it on Eventbrite, if you find it on social media, if you find it in whatever, or I might just slide into your DM and say, hey, we're having this thing for people in your niche. Are you interested? I'm not selling you anything. It's just a way for you to meet other people and not feel alone, in podcasting. So that's kind of like the way that we structure it.
And I love it. And it stands out, Remi, because it's not salesy. Yeah. I get, you and I probably get so many emails that are so salesy, of course. Right? You're just like, oh gosh, really? Yeah. My spam folder is overflowing. I know. Right. And then there's you doing what you're doing, and you're like, oh, I love that you're just there to serve and create a safe place for people. My encouragement for anybody that comes to your event is, don't just come to get. Don't just come to fill your own cup, but come to fill other people's cup. Like, come and give feedback, be supportive. Because I've noticed sometimes as podcasters, we're in sales mode sometimes, when they're like, okay, well, let's go now to Remi. Remi, welcome to the group. And we do this long spiel about our show and our awards and we're so important. And it's all about us. And then everyone's sitting there quietly just kind of going, wow. Okay. Well, they're a big deal, you're like, and then it's like, and there's nothing about, I'm glad to be part of the community. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help. I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to be a support for you as a community. come with that humility and a willingness to learn. You can be podcasting for 25 years or 25 minutes, right? Everyone has something to teach. Everyone has something to learn. And I think that's one thing all of us can do in any event we go to, even a live event, in-person event. Come with that humility and willingness to be a part of the conversation and not to be the center of attention, right?
Yeah.
And I don't get that from your group at all. I mean, I get a welcoming space where everyone's welcome.
Yeah.
Everyone's given time to talk. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that.
It's good. Okay, so we're going to promote Podground, obviously, and send people to you as we kind of go towards the door, because I know you got lots of museum time ahead of you. You got to get out there. What is maybe a couple tips that you can leave for a new podcaster? Maybe struggling again with feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome, a little bit of introvert kind of thing happening in the background, a little bit of, I don't know if anybody's going to listen to my show, Remi. I have a great idea, but I need that little push. I need a community, which we got Podground, which is great. I have that now. I have Remi. I have your show. I've got lots of great resources, but I just need that loving, gentle help from somebody like Remi. What would you do to kind of help them? And then let's slide into promoting again and getting people to your website. But your closing thoughts for somebody who's new to podcasting.
Oh gosh, I would say, if you've been able to figure out the technical stuff, like, what you need to, record your episodes, you've been able to figure out where to put it, host it, all of that good stuff. You've been able to figure out the community. If you found people that, you can, get on a Zoom call with once in a while, or, in real life or whatever, you have all that going. I would say, focus on first doing it in a how to express this? Just do it because you want to do it. Do it until you're comfortable, right, doing it, right? If you feel like, and I know that 100% we do podcasting for the listeners, right? Because you're providing content, that you want people to listen to and get value from. But sometimes I meet people, and we just had a call today for pro members in Podground where we talked about email and how to build an email list and where you need an email list and working through all of that. I feel like some people are still, a lot of newer podcasters are still struggling with the idea of what is the value I'm creating? Because one of the things that we talked about is for your email list to work, you want to provide something for the audience and in exchange get their email. This is how it works on the internet, right?
Yeah.
You provide something free of value, right? To them, not just something you want, to them. Right. And then you provide, and they're like, oh, this is great, thank you. And then they give you the email and they get the thing from you. And then you have the right now to email them once in a while and say, hey, I have this new thing, or we have this event, or I just want to share. I hope it helps, whatever it is you want to share. But I feel like some people are stuck in that place. So, well, I don't know what value I'm providing. So they don't know how to package whatever it is into something they can deliver. And because of that, it can be discouraging for them. So my thing is, I get that we do it for people. We do it to provide value. But if you are in a place where you're only creating the podcast for yourself, please keep going. Create it for yourself. If you're just telling your story because it's cathartic for you, do that. If you're talking because it's therapeutic for you, do that. The thing is, I am not afraid that, oh, you're being selfish or whatever. No. Because if you lean into that long enough, you will begin to find, it's like pulling threads out of like a yarn or something. You will begin to find the thread that connects to your audience. If you do it long enough, you figure out how to now turn that spotlight on your audience, and you can figure out what do they need. But if you give up, then it's over. You never quite figured it out. You never quite found your voice. I think that's what it means to find your voice, because your voice is what people hear, right? So it has to make sense to them to say, oh, I hear Dave talking about this and I love that. It makes sense. But Dave had to walk through his insecurities. He had to walk through his, what am I going to say today? What am I going to do today? Until he gets to the point where he's saying something that resonates with the audience. So don't be discouraged if you feel like you haven't quite found that thing that your audience will grab onto yet. Just keep doing it, right? If you want to talk about what happened at work today, talk about it. I know that we talk about the rules in podcasting, like, oh, when people come to your podcast, of course, in the first 30 seconds, they should be able to know what's in it for me. I get all that, right? I feel like that is the ideal scenario. That's the ideal situation. But not everyone is at that place yet. So if I'm just talking and I'm rambling, ramble away, ramble for the next, 6 months. And then you will begin to figure out what exactly you want to talk about. Because these things don't just happen. We don't, we're not born as babies and then we just learn how to work. We have to toddle and, fall back on our behinds. And, it's okay to do that in podcasting. You'll figure it out. And then when you figure it out, you can begin to refine from there. If you look at all the people that have great podcasts today, scroll back to their very first episode. It was not that well put together. They were just figuring it out. So be okay figuring it out until you do actually figure it out. Just don't give up, in that process. And I hope that encourages someone.
Yes. So podground.io, everybody. We'll have a link for that in the show notes. Make sure you go sign up for that. Be part of that community. And then also be aware of Remi. I would follow her on LinkedIn. That way you can also be connected with her there as well. That would be a great spot. And then as well, the Driven Introvert podcast. We'll have a link for everybody in the show notes to go there. I'm asking everyone that listens to the show, especially those that are like me and as an introvert, to go and not only listen, but subscribe to Remi's show.
Yeah.
Go in. I listen on Spotify, so I'm leaving comments, and that's where I like to do my stuff. But leave comments if you're on Spotify. Get in there, leave a review as well on Apple. But be there in Remi's world and encourage Remi, because the stuff that she's putting out in the world is needed right now in podcasting. There's a big gap, and anything we can do to bring podcasters together is so important. So, Remi, I'm a big fan of everything you're doing.
Thank you.
I love your show. And as a representation of your audience, right? I am a listener of your show. So I am one of your listeners. I want to say thank you on behalf of everyone that listens to your show.
Thank you.
They may not have the opportunity to do this, but I can for them and for myself. So thank you for keeping me company at work.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for
You're going to make me cry. Thank you.
Your beautiful voice and how you approach podcasting and how you approach your content and how you are just a partner with me as I do life.
Thank you.
And I just really appreciate you. So any of those days where you're like, I don't know, is this working?
Yeah.
Let this be part of that, where it's like, it's working, Remi. It's working and I love it. So thank you.
Thank you
for
so
all that
much,
you do.
Dave. You're amazing. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Excellent. Everyone, all information, Remi, in the podcast show notes. As always, everyone, go do your best and pour a lot of love on this amazing person, because she just keeps pouring it right back out again. So, Remi, again, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast all the way through to the end. I love having these great guest co-hosts on the show to share their podcast with you. You have some homework to do. And what I'm asking of you is to go check out our featured guest co-host today. Go over and listen to their podcasts. The links are always in the show notes. And I'd love for you to go and give them your love and support. And I think if we can all do that for each other, podcasting will be a lot more fun for all of us. So it's time to do what you've asked others to do for you. It's time to do for this guest co-host. Links in the show notes. Go over and check out their show and leave them a review, do the follow, go listen to their episodes in full, the entirety of an episode, which again shows to the apps that it's a good podcast, because you're going there and you're staying to the end. It's probably one of the best ways you can help a podcaster grow their audience and be shown to more people is by simply going and listening wherever you listen to the very end, like you're doing right now here. This is the perfect way to signal to wherever you're listening on, this is a podcast worth promoting. And all of the apps want you to stay on as long as possible. So go over and listen to our guest co-host episode and leave them some feedback. If they have a buy me a coffee, send them a coffee. If they have a speak pipe, send them a voice message. If they have an email, send them an email. If they're on Instagram, send them a direct message. Do something to support our guest co-hosts. They've given up their time to be here with you, to be here with me, and we can give that back to them with time and attention, our love, our support. Thank you for doing all that for me as well. Here on the How to Podcast series, we'll talk to you soon for our next episode. You're still here. Awesome. Okay, so this is a little bonus thing at the very, very end, and I appreciate you being here for this. Thank you for sticking to the end of the podcast. If you are like me and you're an introvert, you're not like really into the big crowds. You're not really into the big conferences, and you kind of feel like a wallflower in big social settings, then maybe an online community would be better for you. Don't feel pressure to go to all of these big events and spend thousands of dollars traveling, flights, hotel, food, time off work, all of these things as an independent creator. Some of these events are just priced out of our range, and you shouldn't feel guilty for not going to these events. So if you're looking for a free alternative, come see our meetup. It's there twice a week. It's completely free. You don't have to even wear pants. You can join us, and it's all virtual. And you get to meet great people and save your money. Put your money away. Put your money towards something else if these big events don't serve you as an introvert. Do something manageable, and don't let your introversion be the thing that keeps you from making great connections with other people. You don't need a podcast alone. And we have the perfect alternative to being a solo podcaster or an interview-based podcaster and not having anybody to gel with and do life with in the podcasting community. Come join our meetup. We'd love to have you there. Don't podcast alone. We'll see you over there.